hey, if you're a US citizen and you want to protect your retirement and you haven't got our free ebook yet, then you're really missing out. So click on the link in the description and find out how you can secure your retirement and your future today.
Good afternoon, my friends from England.
Hi, Wim. How are you?
Hey, Wim. How you doing, mate?
How did you start the new year?
Yeah, good start to the new year. What about you?
Busy, very busy.
Good, good. Yeah, sounds good.
You know, I'm now all a little bit advertisement for myself. I'm on every social media platform, almost there is. So,
Great.
the news, what's going on in the world, especially what's going on right now in Germany, I hope.
Yeah.
3 million people were yesterday in Berlin, and in the fake news media, they said only a couple of thousands.
3 million.
3 million.
Wow. You think they should be taking note, right? 3 million.
Yeah. And today they are blocking all warehouses from Lidl, from Aldi, from Amazon. Nothing is coming in.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
Well, big changes from that, I think. I don't think you can keep doing that without the government taking note.
Yeah, we're gonna wait and see.
So, look, today we just, as it's the beginning of the year, we just wanted to talk about getting your financial house in order. You know, a lot of people have probably never been taught this in school or have never even looked at kind of assess their financial situation. And we just want to give you some pointers to get your financial house in order. Start with strong foundations and then build up in a logical way that's going to really set you up, you and your family up for a strong financial future. This is the key.
Perfect.
So let me share this with you.
As always, too, we're not financial advisors. We have to always get that in before we
Yes.
get into the information. We always have to say this. We're not financial advisors. We educate families. We share information with families so they can either take it or leave it. But we used to, many years ago, before we got into the precious metals game, we used to put together financial plans for families and spend a lot of time planning ahead and doing exactly what we're going to talk through now. So it will help families who are watching this. It will help them put something together to get their house in order.
Exactly. Okay, let me show you this. So look, this stuff might not be, this is not the sexy stuff up front, but this is the stuff that's important. Okay, so everyone we've found wants to buy the latest cryptocurrency that they buy for 10 euros today and it's worth $1 million next week, or they buy something shiny today and it you know, they want to do the investing side. This is the exciting side, which is great, and it's good that people have their attention on that. But we think you need solid foundations first. And if you do this, once and you do it well, and maybe you do it every few years, then you can do all the exciting stuff, the investing and all this other stuff, knowing that you've got a strong foundation. That's the key. So first of all, we think you need to know, when you're getting your financial house in order, number one, where are you? Like, where are you? What's your situation now? What's your current financial situation? By that, we mean what's coming in, what's going out. So income, expenses, what assets you have currently, what your retirement looks like as we sit here today, what your liabilities are, debts. And look, there's no judgment if you have debts. That's not what it's about. It's about helping you as much as we can. And then from working all of that out, what's coming in, what's going out. Now, some people might do that exercise and say, I've got more coming in than going out. Perfect. That's great. Some people might do the exercise and say, what's coming in, all of it goes out. There's no difference. And others might say, well, look, I've actually got more going out than I have coming in. And sometimes it's only until you do this exercise that you realize what you do spend money on. So I really advise people to do that. I would say get maybe 3 months worth of bank statements and just go through, and you'll see, oh, I didn't realize I was spending that much of my income on X or whatever.
I would say 90% of the time, Adam, from our experience, putting together financial plans for families, I would say 90% of the families that was sat with us, we used to do it alongside them, would always be shocked what they spent their money on. You know, they'd never sat down and put it all down on paper and looked at the figures. They'd never done it before, and they were always shocked most of the time, 90% of the time.
Yeah, things like food, eating out. And we're not saying, we're not here to say you shouldn't do that, or we're not saying you shouldn't do anything or should do anything. It's just being aware and going, okay, does that serve my future plan or does it not? And then you make adjustments. So from that exercise, you work out what is spare or what can be spare. If there's nothing currently spare, you go, okay, but what could be spare? How can I free some money up? Another thing to do while you're doing this exercise is to work out, if nothing changes, what is your current debt freedom date? At what date, month and year, will you be debt free? That's often a surprise to people as well. They often feel like they'll be debt free sooner than they will. But if you've got a month and a year, then you go, okay, well, this is currently, if I do some other things, maybe I can change that. And also work out your current retirement position. If you change nothing, what will retirement look like for you? First of all, is it even possible? Some people might be saying, well, currently I don't have anything in place. Okay, well, that's your current position. And again, there's no judgment on that, but you need to know where you are before you can do anything else. Does that make sense, Wim?
It's perfect sense. That's how I live.
Yeah,
and it's actually quite scary too, Wim. It's quite scary when you do this for families again, when we used to do this, because I don't think I ever sat down with a family and when we did the retirement plan, I don't think a family could ever meet their needs in the future, ever. You know, so it used to work out what amount they would need in the future to live a comfortable lifestyle in the future, you know, and we used to work out, including inflation, how much you would have to put away today to meet your needs in the future. And not one family could ever meet them needs, ever.
No, but most families don't even know that the government give you a very small amount.
Sure.
And the funny part is, James and Adam, and you know, you can relate to that because it is in every country the same. That what those people in government are doing, you have to, because they are vaporizing the pension money from them, you have to now almost up to you're 70 years old, that you're almost gone.
Yeah. They keep pushing it and pushing the retirement age further and further away. I honestly don't know whether the state pensions are, well, they're not sustainable, but I don't know how long they'll keep going until they say, look, we just can't afford to keep doing this. Yeah, I guess that's a whole nother video. But yeah, look, we just think with all of this stuff, it's about being independent. Yes, you might get some help later on, but don't count on it. If it does come, it's a bonus. But look at what you can do for yourself right now. And the earlier you do this, the better. Time is the thing that we don't really emphasize enough. But anything to do with investing, finance, time is the big element that the more you've got, the more you can do.
Yeah.
So go ahead. Sorry, Wim.
I think the families, if you have a family with a lovely wife and a couple of children, they deserve it.
Of course. Yeah. There's more than just you to think about.
Yeah,
for sure. So the first step is, look, work out where you are. Not the most exciting thing, but it will empower you to move forward to the other steps. The next step is work out where you want to go. Where do you actually want to be? You've looked at your current situation. You've worked out if there is anything spare or what could be spare. Work out where you want to be in later life, whatever that might look like. And there's no prescribed plan that we're going to say you need to be here or it needs to look like this. It's very personal. But have a goal. Have something that you are working towards. And from where you are to where you want to be, you then have to connect the dots. What I would say is, as humans, it's very nice for us to think about in 20 years, in 30 years, and have this big goal, which is great. Nothing wrong with that. But unless we break it down into shorter term goals, it's really difficult to obtain. Your brain really struggles with a goal in 20 years or in 10 years. without breaking those steps down. Like, for example, if you're going to run a marathon next year or in 5 years or whenever, you then break that down and say, okay, so what do I need to do this month or this week or today? And those smaller goals that contribute to the bigger goal, far easier. Otherwise, you just get overwhelmed and go, gosh, I need to build a castle in 20 years. Where do I start? And it becomes overwhelming. So break things down into manageable monthly goals.
It becomes more mentally reasonable, doesn't it, to be able to achieve that goal when you break it down.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then all you do from there is you plan your route. Plan your route from where you are today to where you want to be. And here's the two things that I would say about your plan, your route. Make your plan actionable and make it measurable. Make the steps measurable. Otherwise, your plan might make you feel good, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Yeah, I know we've all been, years ago when I was taking, before I was taking my exams in school, my mum would say, make sure you do your revision and all this kind of stuff. And the first thing I did is, make a revision timetable. And that feels like I'm doing something towards my revision. But really, I was just putting it off for a bit later. And then, okay, next time I come to revise, well, I'll colour it in and make sure that I've got, maths is one colour for my revision. And it felt like I was making progress. In reality, I wasn't. I wasn't any further with my revision. I was just, moving it further down the line. So make sure your plan is actionable and measurable. So you can look back in 6 months and say, okay, that's where I was. Here's where I am now. Can I see some progress?
That's how I'm doing it also when I'm going to the gym. There's a new year.
Yeah.
A special training program.
Yeah.
And I know if you stick with it, and every six weeks you see how it goes, and then you can make adjustments to it.
Exactly that. And that's exactly what you do with any plan or road trip or anything. You have your goal, you have goals along the way. I'm going to refuel here, and then okay, let's stop for lunch, and you reassess. And that makes total sense. No different with finance. I just don't think people talk about finance in the same way. There's lots of things online, here's how you get a 6-pack in 2 days or 2 weeks or whatever. But in finance, we just don't talk about it in the same way. So these are the 3 steps that we think is universal to everybody. Now we're just going to give you a few points that we think make sense as well. So this is just our thoughts. On the journey, we think that you need to protect yourself. And what we mean by that, and I'm glad, Wim, you brought up family and children and people that are dependents. We think it's good to have some kind of life insurance, life cover in place, because let's think about it. All of these plans that you're making for the future are reliant on your income, or yours and maybe a partner's income. So if your income is not possible anymore, should the worst happen, then what? The plan goes downhill very quickly. So we think having some kind of cover, and we're not insurance salesmen. I'm actually not that keen on insurance myself. I feel like it, a lot of it is unnecessary. But in this case, this is something serious, and it's something that affects more than you. In fact, I don't even know why they call it life cover, because it's actually death cover. It's about when you die. And Wim, this is something they'll never tell you. You as an individual never see the benefit of the insurance, the life insurance. Never. Because look, you either live and you don't need it, then you've paid for nothing, or you die and you never see the benefit. It's about doing what's right by your dependents and your family. So look,
as an example, you've got enough there to cover the mortgage on your home. So at least your wife, if you were to pass away, and your children would be looked after. That's like the bare minimum, I would say, really.
Yeah. So it's not something that we. Yeah. Again, it's not a very sexy, exciting thing. No one likes talking about insurance, but it's something that we think is really important about building a strong foundation and getting your house in order. The other thing that goes with that is trusts and wills. Yeah, so making sure that what you're working so hard for goes to who you want it to go to, should the worst happen. Again, this is all part of the bigger plan. Okay. The other thing that we think is good to do on the journey is have a spare tire. What we mean by that is have an emergency fund. Because if you are on the journey and there's a few bumps in the road, I'm sure you agree, Wim, we don't know what's around the corner. There's a lot of uncertainty, a lot of events happening that we don't know how they're going to pan out exactly. We don't know the exact timing. So we think it's good to have a spare tire if there's any bumps in the road, that you can cover those expenses, those short-term emergencies. That could look like 3 months worth of expenses just in cash. It's not making any money, you know, it's not locked away, it's not invested, so it's not a good investment, but it's there to cover you should anything happen. The next thing we think you should do is you should accelerate your debt. So debt acceleration and snowball out of debt. Often what people do is they have debts and they pay the debts exactly as the lender tells them to. So the lender says, it's a 10-year loan, this is your monthly payment, and you just do it. Actually, the reason the lender tells you to pay like this, because it's the best for them. Not the best for you, it's the best for them, believe it or not. Maybe that's a surprise, maybe not for some people. So what we think is you can be really smart. There's loads of online debt calculators and things that you can, tools that you can use. You just need to go looking for them. And you can actually snowball out of debt. You can accelerate out of debt. And it doesn't always have to cost you a lot more. For example, you could have, let's say you had 4 debts, yeah? Different debts, credit card, car loan, blah, blah, blah. If you could add an extra, say, £50, €50, $50 to the highest interest debt, that would accelerate out of that debt. And it would bring the timeline that you would finish paying those debts off much closer. So let's say you paid the first debt off 2 years earlier because you had an extra €50, yeah? Well, now you've got the amount of money that you were spending on that debt, let's say it was €200 a month, and you've got this extra €50. So you've got €250 spare, and 2 years, you've paid it off 2 years earlier. Now, most people, what they do is they take that €250 and they say, okay, let's book a holiday. Let's, let's do something nice, which we understand. But what you can do, you take that €250 and you put it into the next highest interest debt. And what that does is it starts to accelerate the debt even steeper. Then it brings that debt line closer towards you. And if you keep doing this process of stacking debts and accelerating out of debt, you'll actually be left debt-free much sooner and have much more free cash available. Really, really powerful. In fact, I would say the more debts you have, the more impact you can make.
Yeah, so some of the results we saw from the plans that we did, like 10, some of the 10, 15 years, some of them, people are knocking off their debts just by doing this, And a lot of them people, a lot of them families didn't have spare income, Wim. They didn't have any. But when they looked at their outgoings, as a good example, I think one of the best examples was they were buying a Costa coffee every day on the way to work or something.
Absolutely.
And we worked out that was like, was it £100 a month or something they could save by not doing that and taking their own coffee? Or simple things like that. And then that £100 a month, but then I think it was more than that actually, but then that could go into the highest interest debt and then start, smashing that debt over their head with a sledgehammer,
You could take
a big difference.
From home in the car.
Yeah, exactly. And look, we're not here to say you shouldn't have a Costa coffee. Like if your budget allows it, enjoy that coffee. Like no problem. It's not about that. It's about working out what your priorities are and what fits you and what gets you to where you want to be. Some people, their plan and their income are totally matched and they're totally on track and they just need to keep doing what they're doing. This exercise, if that's the result of this exercise, then great. It just fills you with confidence to keep doing what you're doing. We just found for most people that they weren't on track, and a lot of people had never even thought about the future and whether they were on track or what they even wanted in the future.
They've never really had a plan, have they? They've never done a plan before. Most people we sat with have never, ever thought about it. But when they see the numbers on paper, when they see where they are, when they see today where their debt-free date is, and how much interest they would pay to the bank if they change nothing, compared to if they make these changes, where they could potentially be debt-free 10 years earlier and save £100,000 in interest that they would have otherwise paid. You know, that registers up there, and people's that motivates them to start making a difference and start putting that plan together. You know,
the biggest thing I would say to sum all this up is it's about delayed gratification.
Yes.
Those
there are two things that people don't learn. In school. That is, we've covered that in another video. They don't know how to make money, and they don't know how to have a financial plan.
Yeah, totally right.
It's very similar to your health too, Wim, as you mentioned earlier. Training in the gym, that's delayed gratification. That's why most people give up too early. They don't realize that they see the results down the line. They've got to keep on going. They've got to keep on doing what they're doing.
It's hard work with no results, and then loads of results. But very few people get past the hard work with no results. And it's not the most inspiring, especially in today's world where everything, it's a microwave world. Everything's now 5 minutes, no one wants to wait more than 5 minutes or 2 minutes or 30 seconds but those that are willing to put the work in with no results, delayed gratification, to have bigger results later on, are the ones that really succeed and make a big difference. Again, it's not the most it's not the most sexy message, invest in this today and you'll be a millionaire next week. In our experience, those things don't really happen.
And Adam, also what we realized over the years was the tiniest changes now can make the biggest differences down the line.
Yeah.
They don't have to be massive, do they?
No, they really don't.
Crazy what differences you can make.
Yeah. So look, debt acceleration. The biggest debt that people have, and they don't always call it debt, is their mortgage. Your mortgage is a debt. It's a different. Go ahead, Wim.
No, that's correct. The mortgage is a debt.
Yeah, it is. A lot of people don't see it like that. We used to often ask families and would say, "What's your biggest debt?" And they'd say, "Oh, we've got a car loan." And we'd say, "What about your mortgage?" And they'd say, "Oh, yeah, I don't really. Yeah, I guess it is a debt." It is totally a debt, and it's costing people the most amount of interest. So again, there are mortgage calculators online. They're all as good as each other, really. There's none that we personally recommend. We've looked at loads, and by doing something as simple as paying your mortgage every 2 weeks or every week, and splitting the payments up that way, you can accelerate out of your mortgage debt in a dramatic way. And you make the biggest difference there, especially with interest rates being have gone up recently. It means that there's actually more you can save. You can save more when you pay more interest. And again, when you take out a mortgage, what do they say? Okay, this is how much you owe, and this is the frequency. You pay it monthly, and this is how much you pay. And none of us question that. Why? Because in society, the bank, the mortgage lender, they're the authority. They're the one lending the money. You do as you're told. There's a better way, and it serves you. It puts more money in your pocket and less money in the lender's pocket. Hence why they don't tell you. So
it's not in the lender's interest, is it? To tell you this.
Why would they say that? Here's the debt. If you want to pay loads of interest, you pay it monthly, and here's the amount you want to pay. If you want to pay less interest, then pay it every 2 weeks, and this is the amount, and this is how you do it. It just doesn't work like that. So please look into this. We've done videos about it before, but we just want to emphasize it again here because it is so important, and it can make a huge difference. Again, delayed gratification. Overpay on your mortgage now to have tens of thousands of extra funds later in life. Okay. The last one, and this is the bit that everybody likes, Wim, but no, it's at the end. Okay.
It's always the six-pack is always coming at the end of a very strict diet.
Exactly. You don't get the six pack and then eat the right things. You eat the right things and then you get the six pack, right?
Amen.
Yeah. And this is the reality. Once you've done these steps, some people might go, yep, I'm actually quite a way through those steps already. Some people might say I'm right at the beginning, and there'll be everyone in between. Then you build assets. You build things, you put funds into things, you send money into your future. Think about it like this. When you have a debt, you are sending money into your past. You get a car loan. You already have the car is here, but you have to pay backwards for something you already have. When you buy assets, you fund the future. You are sending money into your future so that when you get there, you've got something to have. And this is what it's all about, building your assets. Some people might not want to work later in life. Some people might not be able to work. You know, it might be health reasons or situation or whatever. So if you can send funds into your future, that means that you have something to look after you when you and your family, when you either don't want to work or you can't work. And you know, Wim, we're passionate about precious metals. That's something that we've seen time and time again perform, you know, way better than paper money in a bank. I mean, that's clear for everyone to see by now. But also it's something that you own and you control if you do it the right way. So that's something that we do. I know it's something that you're interested in as well. And it's helped. I think if we'd not seen it help as many people, we wouldn't have the conviction that we have, but we have now. We've been doing this long enough that it just does it. It's all about picking the right tool for the job. And precious metals are the tool for building assets in your future. Physical assets, they don't disappear. They can't be turned off. You know, they are there. They're sat in a cold, dark room gathering dust. It's a very boring investment, but it's very sustainable and very stable.
It works, and it's something you control, and somebody can't just take off you. You know, that's the main thing. People should have the option, Wim, shouldn't they, in later life? I mean, so many people used to say to us, again, when we did the financial plans, they used to say, well, I want to keep working. We always would say, well, great. It's great that you still want to keep working, to keep using this and not just stop, and keep using your body and your mind and keep, you know, so I think that's so important, but you should have the option. You know, there's so many people that we've sat and we've spoken to and done plans for where they've had to go back to work. They've retired, Wim. They've had to go back to work to survive. They've realised that they can't afford to retire. And that's not fair, is it?
I'm glad, James, that God gave me the opportunity. I'm also 58. I'm not looking like that, but I'm also 58. That I've always had something in my mind. I'm working, pardon my language, my ass off.
Yeah.
In the logistic department, in a warehouse.
Yeah.
And I think, and at the end of the month, I could hardly get by. I said, I don't want this. So I start researching, and I want to encourage people that watch this video, take an opportunity.
Yes.
Start investing. You will not regret it.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
brilliant, mate. Brilliant. Yeah, that's exactly what I did when I was in the forces. You know, because I was in the same position as what everybody else was. At the end of the month, we had nothing spare. It's ridiculous. It's a hamster wheel. Everyone's on that same hamster wheel, but you've got to step off. You've got to get off that wheel and do something different. If you do what the masses do, what everyone else does, it's really sad to say this, but if you do what everyone else does, you're going to get what everyone else gets.
Maybe
you've got to do something different.
Video, because a lot of people, and maybe you can relate to this, are afraid to do this.
Yeah. Well, let me just
was.
speak to that, because if you are on your own and it's something that you'd just seen and no one you knew had actually done this before, then I get that, because you know it's like it's like playing a video game with you play a video game for the first time. You don't know there's a bad guy around there and there's someone there, and you don't know what's coming up. You can't anticipate what's going to happen. But if you play with a child that's been playing this video game for, 10 hours a day for the past 6 weeks, they say, hey, there's a bad guy there, there's someone there, crouch down there, do this, do that, do that. Someone's done the journey already. And you go, oh, maybe I'm quite good at this video game, but you've got the help. The same thing with us. We guide you through this process. We hold your hand as much or as little as you want us to. You can ask us questions. You can email us. We actually give you videos that you wouldn't have seen online already. And we answer the questions that we know you already have because we've done this that many times. You know, Wim, nobody ever asks us or says, I'm worried about making too much money by investing in gold. Nobody ever says that. What everyone wants to know is what happens if it goes wrong? What are the downsides? What are the costs? How do I get in? How do I get out? What does it look like? What are the limitations? There's only so many questions that people can ask. We've heard all the questions. By now, we could be idiots and we'd know all the questions because they just come round and round and round. So what we do, we've put videos together answering these questions before people even ask them. We say, look, we know what you're going to ask. Here's the answers. It's this, it's this, it's this. And then we show you how we do it and how we've done it for the past 8, 9, 10 years. We show you the company that we use. We show you the account. We show you how to sell, how to buy, how to transfer, how to switch. We show you the exact serial bar numbers of the bars that you can own. Like we can't, other than holding your hand, taking you into a vault and putting a gold bar in your hand, we can't do anymore. And then after that, we say, look, if you've still got questions, if we've still not answered all of your questions, email us and we'll answer your specific questions. So, yeah, I don't know what more we can do other than being physically next to each individual, which is, you know, not possible. But if people are hesitant, then start the journey, get the content that we send them, fill in their details, and then just go step by step. And don't try and do one big investment straight away with no knowledge. Maybe start small and then build your confidence and then build up.
Yeah,
look,
we always say that. Yeah.
A lot of people will not tell you that. They'll say, you know, people trying to get you to buy certain things. They'll say, oh, buy the biggest amount or do this and do it quick and do it straight away. We just say, look, pressure off, start small, get confident, and then build. You can always put more in. It's no problem.
That's a small amount, Adam, that people can invest in Goldbusters. Maybe
they can invest as much or as little as they want because the way that we do it, we buy part of a large bar. These really big, these bars you can see behind me. So you can buy down to the cent, down to the euro cent, if you want to. It's so flexible. You know, you don't need to buy 1 gram or 5 gram or 10 grams. You can say, look, I've got 57 euros 83. Okay, you can have exactly that amount. So it works for you rather than you having to work for it. But we
started 50 euros a month, didn't we, Adam? So some people started at 25, 20 euros a month. You know?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
It's like a monthly savings plan. You don't have to do that. You can just do a one-off purchase. But we go through all of this stuff. But I would just say the first step is probably the scariest. But after that, you'll see we probably overwhelm people with too much information because we show you everything. But we'd rather do it that way than not give you enough. So, yeah.
It's helping families have their eyes open, isn't it, Adam? Having their eyes open before they go into it, you know, and know and understand it.
And test us out. You know, many people have. We've helped thousands of people now. Test us out, and see if we respond to your email. See how quick we respond and what we tell you.
How can people contact you?
They should click on the link and in the description of the video, and then on the website, just fill in your details. And then we'll send all this stuff to you, and then we go from there. But we're here to serve you and tell you our experience. Please remember, we are not saying, hey, this is a good idea, but we've not done it for ourselves. We're saying this is what we personally do with our hard-earned money now for ourselves and our families, and have done for the past 8 to 9 years. And we still this is what we do ourselves. If you want to do the same, great. So this is what we do and why we do it. If it's good for you, great. If not, no problem. But we just tell you the honest truth of what we do.
Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Well, yeah, good to chat with you, Wim.
Sorry?
And I said good to chat with you again.
Same to you. And
it's always good.
Yeah, always.
We'll see you soon.
In the next video.
Yeah, we'll see you in the next video. Cheers.
Yes, God bless.
See you, mate.
Bye.